Everyone. Sorry we're running a little bit late here. Who knows
Are we?
if we have anyone who's actually doing this? But my name is Dave Scott. I'm the CEO of Evil Genius Games. Nice to meet you all. We are actually here to talk about the Return of the Living Dead tabletop RPG Kickstarter that launched on June 3rd. But I'm also super excited to have a very special guest here, which is Dan Thorpe and Tim Wellham of Syrinscape. Say
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
My pleasure. My pleasure. All right. So I just want to let everybody know that we are trying this thing out for the first time. So it is new and fresh, and not everything works out the first time, but that's all right. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick hello. We're going to have a quick, half an hour to 45-minute chat. We're going to talk a little about this, and then we have a surprise for everybody. Once we get everything set up and ready to go, we're going to come back and do this again, and we're going to have Tim, who's going to be at the helm. He'll be at the guitar, and then we're going to have Dan that's going to set up some Syrinscape sound sets so we can actually listen to those as well, and we're going to do it right from the first time. It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, so what I would love to do is just talk a little bit. First of all, I'm going to do a little bit about the actual Kickstarter, and then I want to talk a little bit about Syrinscape and what Syrinscape is all about. Dan, does that work for you?
That's perfect. Yeah. I think just the behind the scenes is that we had all these really big plans, and then nothing worked.
And
Unfortunately,
I screwed it all up.
No. Here's the good thing is we're not letting go of the dream of what this dream is going to be. We'll just come back and reform it. It's going to be awesome.
We'll be back bigger and better.
Awesome indeed. All righty. So this right here is the Kickstarter, funded in 3 hours, $75,000, 14 days to go, 763 backers. Yes, thank you everyone who has decided to back it so far. Just this morning, we launched the Premium Brains dice. It gives you an opportunity to have a high-end dice that's embedded with a little bit of real brain in there. Of course.
Yeah, those dice are great. I love those things.
Yeah, they did a really good job. Fan roll, everybody. Fan roll. And what we're going to have here is a really nice set that comes in with a nice box. Looks like a nice coffin. And then the next stretch goal, ladies and gentlemen, is a Tarman Mini, which is really excited about it. Connor, our miniature person, is putting this together. He's done a really phenomenal job. And I actually might be able to show you a couple of his images, which are really great for the Tarman Mini.
Oh, that'll be cool. Yeah. Tarman's iconic. Tarman is such an iconic character.
Absolutely.
In the horror film world, the second you see Tarman, you're like, oh, this is Return of the Living Dead. Let's go.
Exactly. Now, try this Tarman on for
that's
Saturday.
very
That
cool.
looks great. That looks great. I love it.
Ooey and gooey and all the things that you'd want Tarman to look like. Let's see here. Let me see if I can show another one out. This is another angle of him. There. So it's funny, we spent a lot of time getting the teeth right and getting the head right because he's got a very special head. But he made him gooier than most. And the reason why he made him gooier than most is because he wanted to stand.
Oh, yeah.
You know how skeleton minis, they sometimes are hard to stand.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's got really good base here, so it shouldn't break or anything along those lines. So we're super excited about that. Tarman Mini, everyone, ladies and gentlemen.
That's great. That's really cool. I also, I'm a huge fan of the artist that's doing your poster. That guy, I'm such a huge fan. Like, I'm so hype on a lot of the cool add-ons and stretch goals you've got going on. It's really amazing.
Yeah. So this guy here, who's our artist, is Chris Tyner. I'm going to give a shout out to Chris. Shout out. Chris is unbelievable. He actually writes his own books. He's got 3, I believe, campaigns that he's done on the Everyday Heroes platform, but his own stuff. So he does a lot of horror, for example. He's done the work for us. So he does a very specific style and genre. So let's take a look here. of the kind of stuff he does. I think his Final Girl is phenomenal.
Mm.
What do you think about the Final Girl, Tim?
Are you showing it to us?
I am. Am I sharing screen still?
No, you're not sharing anything. There's nothing here.
It went away.
I was waiting for it to come up. I was like, yeah, let's see. It is great artwork, though.
I was debating whether I was going to fib and go, yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, there it is right there.
Yeah.
So he's done some really good work there for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The postmortem technician is just crazy awesome. I like all of that. All of the art. It's just really good.
Yeah. Do you remember which movie that's from? That's from 3.
Mm-hmm.
That postmortem technician.
Oh, now, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I feel like because then there's also just along with the dice and everything, it's got a whole immersion thing, which speaking bias, that's a big part of what we do. So it makes it even better when the game itself has all of these little pieces of immersion to drop you into that world.
I'm so hyped to get working on this one. I really am. I've been more excited about this one than some of the others I've done. It's like, oh, I can't wait.
All right, we want to talk about that. Yes. And then of course we got, these are all free. So you can actually download this 4-hour event that we created called Typical Army Fuck Up. So if you guys remember, Return of the Living Dead was actually based on George R. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Mm-hmm. And what it did was it all claimed that everything that was in that movie was true. And so everyone comes in with the perspective of Night of the Living Dead. They think that's how zombies live. And in reality, zombies are very different in this universe. So this actually takes place in the movie, right after the movie Night of the Living Dead, in the hospital that the outbreak was supposed to happen in. And you're just 4 wayward visitors trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Nice.
And you get screwed.
The funny thing about Return of the Living Dead, for me anyway, because I grew up watching every horror movie I could, it's the first movie I remember where the zombies were intelligent and then they could run. Like the whole thing of like send more cops and send more paramedics after they just completely annihilated everybody that was sent. And almost right away, the zombies were like, "Oh, we see exactly what this is. It's just sending more food to us, And so they have a level of intelligence to them. And so I think that's why this movie always stuck with me a lot, was just because it had like those tones from a zombie that you don't usually see, which I thought was great.
Yeah, I think that's right. And part of it is like some people asked us, why are we doing another zombie flick and the zombie game since there's so many out there? And it's because these zombies are not like any others. And so we actually have in here where the zombies actually steal a police car and chase you.
Nice.
And you're like, okay, when would that ever happen where a zombie can chase you? So this is fun because it gives us the opportunity to do stuff that no one else is doing, sort of in the space. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, and there's a whole rule set to play the zombies as well as actual characters, right?
That is exactly right. Yeah. I mean, so, the what we found in movie number 3 is that zombies don't pain slows down the zombification process. So if you pierce yourself with all sorts of crazy stuff and do all that good stuff, then you actually become zombie less fast. And so we have this class called the Rageful Dead, where you keep most of your human faculties so long as you are piercing yourself and hurting yourself all the time. And so that is very much part of the play. I really hope someone at some point in time plays like an all zombie party.
Oh, I mean, I would be willing to bet that weekend 1, there's going to be at least one party that's just going to be like, all right, so we're all zombies. Because I mean, that's the first thing I thought of is like, oh, I'm going to be a zombie for sure. I'm going to be a zombie.
Our group has already talked about it. For Halloween, I think that's going to be our one shot.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it is, and so what I love about this is that there are zombification rules. So eventually it's inevitable you're going to get turned into a zombie. But the question is, how long does it take? And so your party eventually is going to succumb to the trioxin. And so it's almost like it's a time-based game to some degree.
Nice. That's cool.
So I think that's a little fun. And then what I'm really excited about is this one here. So bundled with every single one of our pledges, and specifically our online pledges, we have added the Syrinscape sound set. And part of the reason is because playing the game is cool, but playing a game with a soundtrack is way better. Way better.
Yeah.
And so we wanted everyone to sort of experience that magic behind that.
Yeah, I think that now it's become a thing, like with Syrinscape, in the past, the big thing was trying to convince people to have music and sound with their games. That it's like, nope, this makes a big difference. You're going to want to add these things. And then it became more and more accepted. So people started doing it. And then that's when, our work of building things that go specifically with the adventure, specifically with the module, all of that stuff, becomes something that makes it a little bit more easy for everybody to do. And it's built exactly for what they're playing. Like, it's supposed to have that mood, those sounds, those monsters, all of that kind of stuff. And it just so helps we get people like Tim, who is an actual real musician, much like Ben, much like Barry, much like, our creators. They're real musicians. And so they get to create these original pieces of music for that stuff. So it's pretty amazing.
Tim, I gotta feel like you're kind of living the dream a little bit, just because, assuming you're a movie buff.
Oh yeah.
But then the fact that you actually create stuff that people will actually use, and they're going to be using it, has to be pretty cool.
I was discovered by Ben because I was already doing this for my own group, and my group actually talked me into putting it on the YouTube. They're like, other people would like this, and I had actually tried Syrinscape early on, but my group were just not very technically advanced, so we can never get it to work out right. But I still did it myself and have these hour-long pieces on YouTube. So yeah, I was already doing it. And then it turns out later on, Ben had been kind of quietly stalking me and watching my stuff on YouTube and seeing how I interacted with everybody before he reached out to me. So yeah, that's a very long way of saying yes, it very much is living the dream.
So Dan, interestingly enough, the first time I heard about Syrinscape, I was not even in this industry. I was just a little Pathfinder player. And I flew to Seattle for PaizoCon, and you guys had a booth.
Yeah. Depending on what year that was, I would have been there. Ben used to, go there. Steve used to do that. So depending on what year it was, I assume it was back when it was in person PaizoCon.
It was, yeah. I was in this little airport hotel.
Yep.
BronyCon was in the same convention.
Okay.
Hotel, and that was weird.
At the same time? Was that going on at the same time?
Yeah, at the exact same time.
Interesting. Okay.
That is. But yeah, I was a huge Pathfinder player back in the day. And so I used to love going to those PaizoCons because you get the best GMs there.
The best GMs, the best. It's just great walking by those delves and, being able to sign up for those. And not to mention the swag bag they give you is pretty legit. Like, I remember Paizo would load it up with all kinds of minis and books and all kinds of cool stuff. Those were really great.
And I remember playing a bunch of games with Lisa and stuff like that, and all their party. And cool. I kind of was able to geek out a little bit, hang out with people.
When I worked for Paizo, it was one of those things where because it's a holiday weekend, and so you have to change your way of thinking. What's like, no, this is actually not going to be a holiday. It's going to be busier than any weekend I've had since last year, and so it's so much work, and everybody does so much good work. You could tell that all of the employees at Paizo were really dedicated to giving a good experience, with PaizoCon. Just so much output from everybody. But the payoff is you get to meet all of these people that you interact with on the forums and interact with on social media. And when I was doing content for Paizo on their Twitch channel, get to see all these folks and like, oh, I'm blah 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 in the chat, and I'm like, oh no way, it's great to meet you. It's really fun to do that personal thing with a company like Paizo. It's great. So
I've got to ask, how long has Syrinscape been around?
Syrinscape's about 10 years old, a little over 10 years old now. And it started with Ben doing, basically it was him just coding his own thing to make his own games better. That's kind of where it started. He got tired of playlists. He got tired of repeating noises and sounds and all of that sort of thing, and just kind of used his own skills to put something together. And then, that eventually became like a crowdfunded type idea to where people and that was the offline player, the one that you download, and you can still use to this day. And a lot of people, love it. It is a really, really well done app. And I think that as things evolved and everything like that, the company just kept growing more and more into Ben's vision of what he wants a tabletop to sound like. And it doesn't hurt that he's trained composer. Like, the guy's performed at Sydney Opera House, and he's written all kinds of compositions, and a lot of the songs, like, it's not uncommon for me in the morning to, like, when his day first starts, be like, hey Ben, I don't suppose you could do something like this, and he'll be like, send me a YouTube video that kind of sounds like it and what you're looking for and stuff, and he will do it in like 30 minutes. He'll have a fresh, amazing composition that does exactly what you were hoping it would do. Like, that's how amazing his brain is. Like, he can just put that stuff together so quick. And he also thinks that way with sound as well, bringing sounds together, and then training, people like Tim and other creators like Steve and Barry to fill out a room. It's like, well, it's not just a dungeon room. What's there? What would you hear? What would it look like? Like, try to make it visual through sound is the thing that keeps coming up, because that's what you're trying to do at any TTRPG. You're trying to make them feel like they're there. And it turns out music and sound is a great way to do that. It's a visual wall that goes into your ears, and it's pretty amazing with the stuff they come up with. So.
And you guys also have a partnership with Skip and everyone from a couple podcasters, right? And a couple actual play folks. Skip Mayer, and
Skid, the Glass Cannon folks.
Glass Cannon. And I think I've listened to maybe 300 of theirs. And
they're amazing.
Pretty early on, they adopted the Syrinscape technology and started using it sort of to its fullest.
Yeah. In fact, we, I think Steve or maybe Ben, one of them, built a Glass Cannon podcast sound set with some of their characters in it and that kind of thing, and the noises for like Roll for Initiative, like the songs they used, the jingles that they were using for Roll for Initiative. Roll for Initiative, yeah, exactly. So I think that it was mostly just because we were also such fans. It was like, holy moly, can we actually do a sound set that have these sounds in them, and things like that. And so that's kind of where that came about. They were just such good supporters of what we were doing. So
yeah, those partnerships really matter. And listen, like it's, so what I love about it, the sound sets, is that there's kind of, I would say there's three components. I'm a newbie. If I say anything wrong, let me know, but you've got sort of the special effects, like creaking door, or in our case, it's something like a gun getting fired.
Yes.
And then you have music, which is like the brilliance that Tim does, which is sort of like, let's put some sound to this. Let's get some rock music to the Rambo game. Let's get some creepy music. And then do you guys also do like voiceovers, like a little bit of like someone saying dialogue as well?
Oh yes. Again, that's why I'm very excited about doing this, because to do the zombie voices, I'm really looking forward to doing voices that actually speak. But yeah, we do voiceover. Different studios have different rules about what they want and what they don't. But yeah, there's a lot of spoken dialogue with a lot of stuff.
Can you tell me how that process is? Do you guys hire professional voice actors, or is it just you, Tim? You're like, yeah, I think I could pull this off. Like,
both.
How does it work?
Both. We kind of look at it and go, what needs to be done here? And all of us do voices. We also can really process it in the studio. I guarantee you a lot of the voices you'd hear, you'd have no idea were us. But then we also hire professional voice actors for some of the stuff as well. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who has done voices for us or not, but we've had definitely pros doing voice work.
That's amazing.
Yeah. a lot of those would be listed in our credits. I mean, every sound set should have credits connected to it, so they're going to be listed in there as well. So,
and do you and how long is that dialogue? Because in some cases, certain people have got soliloquies, and so are you writing down soliloquies, or are you just doing some of the small bits and bobs?
So again, it depends on what they want, and some studios, if it's in quote, if it's in quotes, they want us at all. They want it all done. Others, not so much. So it really varies from case to case.
Okay.
And yes, there are some of them that are huge that we're like, oh my goodness. But if that's what we want, that's what we'll give them.
And I mean, speaking of that, our the Pathfinder 2nd Edition beginner box, for instance, all of the box text, we got Jason Bowman to read all of the box text. So if you're playing the beginner box with new folks and you're running new folks through the thing, you can kick on the sound set, and all of the box text will be written or will be spoken by one of the Pathfinder creators, and they're like, he's there to give the inflection and set the tone for everything. So it's little things like that that can really make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I think that's the future of immersive gameplay. And so Tim, I got to ask, so you get a prompt. So we send you two things. We send you the actual adventure, right? So the adventure, you get a prompt. How do you even start the creative process?
Well, the first thing I do is go through it, read everything, outline it out. And then, so I know exactly what it's going to be, how big it's going to be, what's going to go where. And then once I have the outline, then I just go back and start working at it one section at a time. And I reread the section, and I'm okay, this is going to need these amount of sound effects. And then I'll have a more detailed, okay, this is everything I'm going to do. And then that all gets transferred to a list of what do I need to create. I did Pacific Rim for you guys.
Yeah.
So I had to create all of the giant robot sounds. We didn't have them anywhere. So then once I had all that detailed stuff written down, then I went over there. I'm like, okay, now I need to take a week to create all these sounds and then bring them back over and then start Frankensteining it all together into one coherent piece.
So Tim, you're not just the punk rock soundtrack dude. You are.
No, I do all the sound effects. I do voice work. We all do. All the creators do everything. Some of us just have specialties. I tend to get the rocky stuff or anything really weird and oddball.
Yeah.
Spelljammer, that's yours. Planescape, that's yours. Which I love. I love doing that stuff. Tomb of Annihilation, prehistoric fantasy, Jurassic Park, go. Oh, okay. But yeah, we do it all. We do all of the stuff.
That's amazing. And how long does that process usually take from soup to nuts? I mean, obviously it probably ranges on how many different sounds might be in a sound set.
Right. It depends on how big the book is, how detailed the book is. Because some books will have very thin descriptions of what a room is. So we'll do as much as we can and move on. But some rooms are very detailed with it's got a clock over here and there's a river running and you can also hear the moans of the dead from the room, the room below you. So the nose you've got to build up as well. So like a typical one shot, I can usually knock out in a day or two. And that's usually like 10 different moods. But then other ones have taken me 6 months to finish everything. But those were huge books, like Curse of Strahd size books. But we get that stuff well in advance so we can work at it.
So I got to ask you, did you do Curse of Strahd?
I did not. Right. I did Tomb of Annihilation.
All right, Tomb of Annihilation. What was your favorite sound that you created in Tomb of Annihilation?
I think my favorite sounds actually for Tomb were all of the gods. And somebody's going to knock me in the head because I cannot remember their exact name. But there are like these 9 or 10 mischief gods that you run into near the end. And they're all very specific little oddball gods that I had to do all this different voice work for. And then I also did different music for each one. So they all had their own personality and the music fit that. So I had a blast doing that. But it was all fun, doing dinosaur races and, the end of Tomb of Annihilation is the Tomb of Horrors. So to recreate that and get to do all that, that was just fun from beginning to end.
Wow. I did not know that.
And then we've also got like Welcome to the Jungle and the core rules for everyday heroes and things like that. All of the music we've ever done for any Evil Genius game, I've been a huge fan of from day one. All of that music is just so perfect. I love all of it. I use a lot of it in my stream as like a pre-roll before I'm ready to go live. When it's just an opening screen, a lot of that music is in there just running on random.
Oh, that's great. All the, can we say, are we allowed to say the title?
Yeah, it's just Evil Genius stuff. It's like all of that stuff is good.
The Gothic Evil Genius one that I wrote a lot of music for, I love doing that stuff one too.
The Crow, maybe. Oh yeah, we can say The Crow. We can say it. Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I didn't know.
Here's what I will say though. What I will say is, like, Dan, I think Escape from New York was one of your favorites, right?
The best. Barry did such a good job on that. Barry crushed that. It was so good because also I grew up being I'm a huge John Carpenter fan. I love that he writes his own music and all of that kind of stuff. I think it's great. And when I first saw that we were going to try to do that, I was like, oh man, I don't know. That's going to be rough. It's like Barry invited John Carpenter into his studio and was like, hey, let's write some music. Like, it's that good. I'm just such a fan of it. There's just so much good stuff in there.
He and I almost drew knives over that one, fighting for it, because we're both such huge John Carpenter fans. But yeah, he did such an amazing job. It was so killer.
All right, I'm going to ask both of you guys. So Dan, starting with you, if I can get my hands on any movie to make a cinematic adventure of, that you then can turn into the ultimate soundtrack. Tim's already ready. It is.
Phantasm. Oh, that's a good answer. Phantasm is a great answer.
Movie.
It's like got the killer ball in it. It's got the tall man, and it takes place at a cemetery. Oh, it's such a good movie. Phantasm would be fun because then that means you'd have to stat out the silver ball. You would have to stat that thing, which would be so fun.
Wait, someone's got to tell me the plot, because I'm looking it up now to see who has the rights for it and see if I know them. 1979.
So the plot is hard to describe because it is an extremely bizarro science fiction fantasy horror film.
Yeah.
Essentially, the shortest version is there is an intergalactic being that steals dead bodies from Earth, squishes them down to use them as labor on another planet.
Naturally.
So that is the overall gist of the movie.
That's pretty much it. But spoilers included.
It's amazingly creepy, scary, funny. It's by far my favorite horror film.
Is there any dialogue?
Yes. Some really good dialogue. Well,
yes.
I love the dialogue. Tall Man's great. Tall Man's great. He's got a really good voice, a lot of gravel in it.
Yeah.
And there's just some really weird things that they say in it too, where it's like, really, that was in the final of the script. You're going with that? All right, cool. I'm in.
It's like some sort of coke-fueled writing session.
I mean, leading into the 80s. I think we all know the state of that writer's room, I'm guessing.
I mean, it's one of the reasons it's such a cult favorite, because it is just so crazy and off the wall. There's a scene where they cut the guy's fingers off, and then they take him back home. And then when they open up the box with the fingers, it is now a giant fly that comes out and terrorizes them in the house. It's not your normal horror film.
I think Phantasm is a great choice. I'm a fan of that idea. That's really good. I would say personally, just because I'm gonna, if I get the opportunity, I'm going to rep my favorite director ever, Bob Clark, the best director ever made, ever walk this earth. The dude, legendary.
If you say what I think you're going to say,
Spielberg,
my opinion, is going to go way up so much.
I'm going to say children shouldn't play with dead things. Like 150,000%. I think children shouldn't play with dead things. And there's even a test case for it, because inadvertently, I don't think that Bowman meant to do it. Bowman's like my best friend. Like, we talk about all kinds of stuff. He wrote a Pathfinder 1 adventure called Crypt of the Everflame that is shockingly similar to the story of Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. Like, it is incredibly similar. And I'm like, this is
weekend with Bernie sort of situation going on here.
Kinda. It's more of a, hey, let's haze the new kids by doing a fake ritual, then the ritual actually ends up working kind of thing. It's basically that. Crypt of the Everflame, very similar to that. Not exactly the same, but oh man, I would play Children Shouldn't Play with. I would play that in a heartbeat. I would play that. That'd be great.
All right, an email is going out to Alan, the license holder. I've got this proprietary database which can tell me who owns what.
Oh wow! Okay, well,
I do that. You got to do the sound set for free if I do it.
I don't make those decisions, but I will do what I can to help fund it. How about that? I'll do what I can to help fund it. But yeah, I mean that's kind of where I would go. I would go with Bob Clark just because.
Now, both of you guys chose horror, which is interesting because we don't hear a lot of horror, and there's not even a lot of horror RPGs. So why horror?
Well, I'll say this: the first RPG, the first TTRPG that I really got into was a horror-based one. It was Victorian horror. It's called Chill, and it was a D10 based system. I think this was a long time ago, so I could be misremembering the dice system, but yeah, it was called Chill or Chiller. No, it was Chill. And it was like a Victorian horror, like werewolves and stuff like that. And I loved it. I thought it was great. When it comes to movies and gaming, I like the scary stuff. I think it's great. So, Tim?
And it's the same with me. I've been a horror fan since literally teeny tiny. I would scare myself like 8 years old on the local horror stuff. At 10 o'clock, I can remember being 8 years old and I couldn't watch it. I wasn't allowed. So my parents would go to sleep and I'd sneak out and turn the TV on and then cover it with a blanket and turn it up real low so I could just watch it, but hoping they wouldn't hear me. Then I would scare myself to death and wouldn't want to go back to bed. So I'd have to sleep in the hall where I could see their bedroom. So I've loved horror since being teeny tiny. And actually my music started was we had an ancient Wurlitzer organ in our house. And the first things I started to try and pick out were the theme to Halloween and the theme to Phantasm at like 11 and 12 years old. So,
all righty, is this the game? I pulled it up on. Big shout out to Drive-Thru. Put it up on Drive-Thru. It looks like it's in its 3rd edition.
Ooh, that is. It might be that, but the one I played did not look like that. I definitely played the first edition of it because I mean this would have been mid 80s, maybe early 80s, somewhere in there. Yeah, it'd be that one. Yeah, that one right there. That's the set. Yeah.
Oh, I don't have a good picture of it. Okay. 1984.
84, yeah. Oh man, that does sound right. Which is weird because I'm sure I wasn't born in 1984, right? I was not born yet because we're
probably found it in a bookstore somewhere.
Some of us might have been, but well, if you don't want horror, then Hawk the Slayer.
Oh no!
I would love it.
Now, do any of these actually have any good like role playing, juices or? I want to make sure. Oh, it looks like it's already a show. I mean, already RPG.
Oh,
I was thinking of the movie. I didn't know it had a TTRPG. I was thinking of the movie.
Oh my goodness!
Oh yes, yeah. That's 80 cheese fantasy to the finest degree.
I always remember like my favorite 80 cheese is like Beastmaster or Krull.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Krull's good. Krull's good sci-fi. Krull. I liked that stuff. I thought that was pretty good.
Those are like Oscar winners compared to Hawk the Slayer.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Oh, there's an old movie with Ed Harris, I think, and Tom Savini was actually starring in it called Night Riders. Yeah. That one might make a good TTRPG because you're still like you're knights, but you're like a motorcycle gang, but they're like LARPers almost. That one could be fun.
It looks like you did. The film does have its own RPG. I recommend anyone who's interested to pick it up. It has.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Wow.
Shout out to Rebellion. Oh, it's a rebellion property.
Mm.
They're like $100 billion. They're like a fancy. Oh, this is it right here. Knight Riders.
Yeah.
Who is that? That's the guy from Westworld, isn't it?
Ed Harris. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Ed, it's a young Ed Harris.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Get out of town.
And then the fellow right there with the goatee, the black goatee and kind of bowl cut.
Yeah.
That's the legendary Tom Savini. I read his book Grand Illusions like it was a Bible when I was a kid. That guy's amazing.
And they had the obligatory black guy. Shout out for that. Since who I'm sure he was like, I don't know what this movie's all about, but I'm getting paid. I don't know nothing about no knights. That's great.
And also, that's a George Romero film, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. That's how he was able to get the star power.
Man, I haven't seen that movie in a while. It's really good. Well, it is. It's good. I hate having to justify when I say a movie's good because, like, well, you know what I mean. It's not. You know what kind of good I'm talking about.
It's good. It's RPG player good. You know,
that's it. That's a good way to say it.
I think it would be actually this one. Now that you bring this one up,
yeah, it might be fun. You could do like a whole like like an army and all that kind of stuff. And,
Ed Harris had hair.
Yeah.
believe it or not.
So he starts out as a real knight, and like the time of the knights. Is that what's going on?
Oh, no, they're bikers. No. They're bikers. That was perfectly executed editing by the trailer. Just as like, you were asking.
It's been a while since I've seen it. They're like a medieval times on bikes, aren't they? Yeah, it's like a carnival type thing.
I don't know what the adventure would be though. Like I think you could probably buy a bike in our core rulebook, and you could probably buy some ceremonial knight armor, and you probably could replicate this pretty good.
I think it could be a good template for homebrew stuff. Like they can just get into different adventures. It's like going from town to town with a different adventure.
Got it. Okay, so basically, it's about a bunch of guys who go to Renaissance fairs, but they do it on bikes rather than on.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right, fair enough.
They're a traveling circus, but it's a traveling Ren fair. So there's that.
Goober, what do you say? How many hours would that take you to put together? He's listening. How many hours would that give you to throw together this?
I could get that together in a month.
Maybe even less, potentially.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good times.
I'm still sticking with Phantasm. I think it would be a good one.
It would be amazing. It'd be amazing.
Because that is so bizarre and out there that it could justify a lot of rules, psychic things, a lot of strange new monsters and things like that. That would be a whole thing with nightmare rules, I would say, because a lot of the movie is you're not really sure, are you awake or not? There's a lot of this bouncing between, is what's happening really reality or not?
Okay.
And even the end of the movie plays up to that, is like, did all this really just happen or not?
Yeah. Yeah. So Goober says that they could probably get it done in 2 days. If you really want it, we can get it done. Motorcycle down. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for my phenomenal game designer. Tim, you just hit the nail on the head, which is like when we actually go after these cinematic adventures, we try not to do stuff that we really love, that's cool, but something that can introduce a new mechanic that we've never seen before in the game. So Total Recall introduces mutations. Universal Soldier introduces cybernetics. Probably not the best movies in the world, but still really sort of told a really good story from that perspective. And so we tend to hesitate. So for example, when we about a week after we signed Rambo, we actually got offered it's not The Dependables. It's that other Sylvester Stallone movie.
Oh, where all the
Expendables?
like the super group.
The Expendables.
Yeah, Expendables, yeah.
Okay. And we were like, man, I think we've done this already. As much as we like the star-studded like people that are sitting in that film, Yeah, the Expendables. Yeah, we got offered the Expendables, and it was like, wow, it's really tough to do. As soon as we got signed with Escape from New York, we got offered The Warriors, which is one of my favorite films.
Warriors, amazing.
And then we were like, oh, we just don't know what other mechanics we could even think about introducing, you know. So we do try to have a little bit of fun and try to expand the genre a little bit and do some things that are out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that I think when you ask in a vacuum, what movie would you like to see a game based on? It's easy for us because we could just go with what we're fans of. We don't have to worry about the ins and outs of actually creating something with content,
even living through the first 4-hour session of it.
Or that, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing probably with when you're putting together sound sets and stuff, Tim, where it's like, oh yeah, just do it like this, and this. Then you start diving into it and you're like, I don't know if I could do it that way. Like this has got to be all separated right now because there's so much here.
Right. That happens, a lot where I'm like, oh, that'll just be this, and this. And then as I dig into it, it's like, no, these aren't going to work. Time to figure out how to make this brand new sound. And so, yeah.
So interestingly enough, I actually, so I'll throw one out there. One that a cinematic adventure that I would like to actually create that I think, Tim, if I gave it to you, you'd probably be frothing at the mouth, which is Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah. Yes. That would be. It would have that. The Queen soundtrack in that is like so iconic.
It's iconic.
And it's and to show on my age, that was right in my, pre-teenage years, and just loved the heck out of that movie. I think I saw it in the theater 6 times.
Well, I think it was probably built for like a 10-year-old,
like, exactly. And I think that was my age. Yeah. And I went week after week to go see it.
That's amazing. But I think that's really one healthy blend, and not every movie can get it right, where the music works really well. And then Queen is an extremely unusual organization. Like, I still wonder why an iconic band like that even was doing soundtracks at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they just wanted to stretch themselves, if I remember when I was reading it, because one of them, and I can't remember, it was a bass player. No, it was a drummer. The drummer was actually already starting to dip his toe into soundtracks. And I think when they approached, Dino De Laurentiis approached them, they approached him. And he brought it to the rest of the band. I could be talking out my rear end, but I thought that's how it went. And they were like, they just wanted to expand and try something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could be the case.
I think for me, the fun thing would be all of the sound, like the sound effects and the settings, because it'd have that kind of 80s cheese sci-fi. Yeah,
and that would be another one. We have lots of laser sounds and explosions, but I don't think anything we have now would fit. So that's another one we'd have to create all new sounds for them.
And I think what's actually kind of interesting about that movie was that, yes, it's got an 80s feel of an interpretation of a 50s feel. Do you know what I mean? And so, like, I even think that, like, and I love how you said the sound effects, because they still are stuck in my mind, how weird they were, and how cosmic, and I think that was all back from the 1950s, really, where it got inspired.
Yeah, it definitely is an age, like you said, it's an 80s shade of a 50s sci-fi serial, which is great. I thought that was a good combo.
Well, great. This has been great, guys. I think just to wrap it up, so this is what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're actually going to come back and do a jam session, if that's okay with you, Tim. And you're going to do some little jam. We're going to get our technology right.
Yep.
And then we're going to get Tim on the guitar, and he's going to do a little jam session. And then Dan will give us an opportunity to play some of his favorite stuff from some of the favorite sound sets. And we're going to come back again maybe next week. And so just please stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it gets better next week, if you can believe that. This is just the first try. It's going to get even better the next one.
That's right. Hey, listen, no one can ever say we're overproduced.
No. Fair.
And in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, please check out this wonderful Kickstarter. 766 now, 75,000. Only $5,000 left before you get to the Tarman Mini. And then also, like, let me know what you guys think, right? Like, so a lot of people are coming back and saying we want more content. So, you know, someone asked for a solo play of the game. I'm happy to throw that in as a stretch goal. I'm not a solo player. I probably should be because I have no friends. But for those people who like to play solo, like we should love you. We should love you guys too. So please stay tuned. And I want to say thank you very much. And again, I want to say thank you to Dan. I want to say thank you to Tim. And I want to say that we'll be back with a few more of these sessions, including a jam session with Tim and Dan. So
Awesome.
Thank you very much, everyone, for checking this out. And we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.